Good morning, God's beautiful people. How are you? I pray everyone is up this morning in their glory. Everyone getting a breath of life, witnessing a day they never seen before. Feeding yourself your spiritual food before you put anything solid into your body. Have a talk with your Lord and Savior before you start your day. Ask God for for His protection of your life and your family, and also give you traveling grace to and from to your destination. um Anything that's in your way, that God will remove it, or anything that come against you, God will protect you from it, from arrows over your head and pestilence at your feet. May He continue to wrap His loving arms around you as He continue to care for you as you go through your trials of your life. Let's go into our Father's prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Lord, give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our trespasses. We forgive those who have trespassed against us. Lord, lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thy you are the kingdom, the power, and also the glory forever and ever. Amen. I just wanted to come real quickly this morning, 7 o'clock a.m. in the morning. Some of you might not even be up right now, but I just wanted to share this while this was on my mind and this was in my heart about what took place last week. And during the kickoff of the Holy Week, we had people out in the street that were being very destructive. I say destructive because they out there making noise about things that they shouldn't even be out there making noise about. Now, they talking about a no kings in our as government or whatever, and we don't have a king, we have a president, and we had an election. And during the election, both sides, Democrat that was nominated for Democrat DNC presidency, and those who were nominated for the RNC. Now we know that Biden was not able to finish the race due to his illness. He had cognitive dissonance. So at the time when he went on his absence from being out there to compete, they put Kamala Harris in his place to run as for presidency. She had no policy. All she did was repeat the same policies that Trump had already put in place for the American people. If you watch the DNC, there was no policies. There was nothing that they were already offering the American people that they was going to help fix and change. We talking about immigration. We talking about our economy. We talking about what's going on in the school system with our children and things of that nature. And we're talking about foreign policies, if they had one. Okay. One thing I could remember Trump saying in his policy, he was going to fix our immigration. He was going to do mass deportation because we had people that were coming into the United States unvetted, people that were coming into the United States that were dangerous and that was criminals. He gave us a walkthrough through all of that. He talked on every policy: immigration, economics, and education. He talked about having better, people to represent as your Congress or whatever local government that they serve. That he was not looking for people that were just placed there just to be DEI, diversity, equity, inclusive. He wanted people that would be placed in jobs that were merit, people that were qualified, people that had sense, people that weren't going to do the job, people that was going to make sure every dotted I and every T was crossed. He did say those things. So why are these people out there protesting? Why are they disturbing the peace? Why are they attacking him, his character, and saying the horrible things they've been saying about the United States president, which I find very disgusting, very disrespectful, and rude. If you got to go back on down memory lane, you could go back and watch for yourself what President Trump was actually going to do for the American people. He sat on his podium. He came out doing his rallies, almost lost his life a few times from somebody trying to snipe him out, but it didn't happen because God blocked it. Okay, they did everything they can to destroy this man's chances of winning the election. And we know it came from the other side because we ain't stupid. They knew they didn't have a chance of beating him, so they was going to try to silence him and they was going to try to take his life and try to harm the American people. This is the evil and the disgusting things that people who don't operate with intelligence would do. Okay? The DNC been getting away for a long time for their crimes that they've been committing from the White House and what they have been doing to the American people. Immigration is not a right, it's a privilege. And if you're going to come into the United States of America, we got to know who you are and your reasons for coming here. We just can't just let people into our borders and they just live here and claim that they have a right to stay. You don't have a right to stay. And nobody should get in the way of the immigration custom enforcement, meaning ICE. When they have to make an arrest of somebody they have to pick up that has been in the United States that is a criminal, and they have to go in and get the person, why should people even try to stop them? A dangerous criminal. Why are you blocking them when they not supposed to be here? They committed crimes, or even if they did come here, they didn't leave on the time they supposed to leave. That makes you a criminal. You trying to stay when you are supposed to leave. You don't build your life here. You don't start a job and try to get family and get married and think that you have a right just to anchor a child here and you get to stay in the United States of America, that you should be given that right. No, because there are people that do have the right to come and who has been waiting to be an American, who truly wants to be an American. Nobody should get no right to stay in somebody's country because they feel they have a right. It doesn't go like that. Okay? That's with any of the laws. This party came in, they said they was going to do what they had to do, fix the broken justice system, also clean up our criminals in America, get these people out of our country, and mass deportation, and the whole nine. Now, I watched both as they ran for presidency. I watched the DNC and I watched the RNC. And I had to pick the right one that was doing the right thing. Give the other side a chance. I voted Democrat just about almost all my life because I didn't know these things. Because I was always just voting for whatever people told me was the person to put in place, and these people ain't do nothing for me. Okay? When Obama became president, I voted for him twice without looking at his policies. I didn't even, all I saw was a good looking man who looks black with a beautiful family, and that's all I saw. I was colorblind. I was ignorant. I was living in darkness. Now God has brought me to the marvelous light. Stop looking at skin color. Look at the cross. President Trump, his campaign, and those who were out there doing what they had to do to get him as the president of the United States, those who were campaigning for him, working through his campaign. He did his tours. He did a lot of things that he ran to become the president of the United States, and things that he didn't even have to do. That showed passion, that showed true passion, that showed a person who really cared for our lives here in America. And I thank God for him. I thank God for him. I can't see it in nobody else right now to do the things that President Trump has gone out of his good heart to do, even for black people. Even when he sat on the black journalist platform, he came on time, he was there, they invited him, and then they wanted to try to bring him there so that they can humiliate him and ask questions about things that he probably really didn't know all the details about. Things that were going on, especially when there was a black woman who was shot and killed by an officer in her home and died. But President Trump said, look, I don't know what happened. He don't. He probably didn't pay no attention to it. Probably knows goes on all the time. There's a police officer. He wasn't concerned. He probably didn't take no interest in knowing nothing about it because they were trying to trick him up, to get him out of his square, and try to say something about racism. So he caught the enemy before they even struck. Okay? That's how it was. But he was there. He sat on that platform. The lady attacked him. She didn't even give him a chance to even warm him up and say kind things. Just went on an attack, and it was wrong. Black people, they need to learn some things about this. We need to learn some things about ourselves. Those that look like that are black people. You want things in society to work for you, but you don't work for you. Okay? You don't know how to treat people. You don't know how to come with the level of respect, kindness, and just don't bring all your pain. Because a lot of things that happened to us didn't happen because white people did it. It's your own people. Look at what's going on now. Look at the Al Sharptons and the other people that be out there rallying and getting people all fired up. They doing rallies and they do it in a way where it's racist and destructive, and it's not a way that is really helping anybody black, but putting more and more, you know, targets at us. It doesn't do anything to help us. I've been around Al Sharpton rallies, yes, when it was time in the 80s or whatever, when we had to deal with police brutality in the black ghettos of America, especially in the city of New York City, when our voices wasn't being heard, when grandmothers were being killed by police and young men were just shot down in the streets, and the Michael, you know, Griffith story and all of these things that happened in Bensonhurst and all that. Yeah, things like that at that time we needed to be heard, and we needed a real investigation because it was police brutality. But now we in 2026 and somebody is doing something about it. It takes time before things change. It don't change overnight, but it has been something done about it. Okay? We do have a lot more dangerous people. Young people today, they running around with guns like crazy. They even killing their own parents. Okay? It done got so bad and the law has really gotten out of control. Where nobody wants to follow the law. And we've seen it now from what we see from the DNC, from the Democrat Party. How they are so rootless, so to me, these people are just not qualified to be in no position to be leaders. And I just look at each and every last one of them, the way they talk, the way they act, react on things, how they get organized, they protest or whatever, is all to me a bunch of crap. Okay? They go into churches and join funerals, trying to run a campaign, no respect in the house of God, don't even respect the dead, don't respect the family, and don't respect the congregation whatsoever. Even the other follow Christians that might be there that just want to hear a good thing about the person that was deceased and hear some of his stories about his work or what he's done. Given, like his son said, a prophetic message. An announcement was made, don't bring politics to the funeral. But they still ignored that and they still got up there and performed. This is how disrespectful they are. These are the people you're going to vote for. If they can't listen to a family member, the son of the deceased, to tell them not to bring the politics, everyone is invited to come and share their story of what they know about about his father. And just share your experience with him or whatever, something nice or something. But no, they couldn't do that without coming in there calling names of the president of the United States and performing and also looking for campaigns for votes. They were so disrespectful And that will live throughout history about the DNC. They need to get it together because they're not educated people and they're not good people. They act like a bunch of demons. And I wouldn't want them I wouldn't want none of them as my leader. I'm sorry. I value my life. I value my life. President Trump did not mislead you in no type of way. He went through that whole RNC. He went through that whole campaign, rallies and everything else, and he had to cut it. Some things got in the way, of course, because we seen that there was some people that were harmed that were there. A fireman was harmed, and he lost his life right there in front of his family, protecting his family because some idiot decided he was going to try to take out the president. The wickedness in these people. I wish none of them ever get a chance to be in government again. I just pray to God that God will continue to keep this movement of MAGA going as long as possible. Because none of them nobody that runs with that DNC deserve to be in leadership. After seeing all those foreigners and all those people, I don't even know who these people are. Never saw them and heard of them in my life. Even Ilhan Omar, I didn't know who she was until President Trump introduced her to me. This woman from Somalia, I didn't know nothing about her. And Zoran Mandani, never heard of these people. Now, other one that sit there in the government over there in Michigan. And they bring in all this cult with them, this religion with them, this evil, dark cult religion that they practice into the United States of America. And it's a very evil kind of cult religion. These people are known to have taken down the 9/11, the two towers in New York. And you think I want these people living in the country I live in? I don't care if they could be the nicest person, but if you attach to that religion, I just can't feel safe around you. I'm sorry. Because I don't know what is really truly deeply inside of you that you still holding on to a God that is that evil. After what happened on 9/11, I lost a person that I knew in those towers. And she was a mother. She had an autistic child. And she had died in that World Trade Center bomb. And I know there's probably was some more people I was acquainted to through my career, in my banking career, that I lost in that tower. I had to go to school and complete classes I had to take to my career for a prerequisite at Maiden Lane, and it wasn't too far off. But when I got off the subway, and my professor said, "Y'all going to continue to come this class, or you can drop the class and you won't be penalized." No, I had to come on. But it was a scary feeling every day on that day, starting because my classes started on September the 15th. It happened on the 11th. And I had to take that train, and I prayed my way through it all. I fought. My grades wasn't good because of the things that I had to fight through to try to concentrate on getting at least a C for my classes, to at least get a C. You don't understand how that ruined people's lives, how it harmed people in America, to actually allow these kind of people to live in the United States of America and also still get to practice that kind of religion around people who have been traumatized by 9/11. And I'm one of them. I lived in New York. I am a native New Yorker, born and raised New York City. So I appreciate my president of the United States of America, and I'm going to continue to pray his strength in the Lord, that he will continue to do what he has to do as long as he serves his term here in the United States as our leader. And I think he's a great president, and I think he's a wonderful president. And I'm not saying he's perfect, because he's a human being just like anybody else is a human being. And sometimes people just really pull at you and get you to say things that sometimes you just don't want to say, but you got to say it. I love my president. I love his team members, his the MAGA team there, those men of honor and of faith. I think they all doing a wonderful job to hold this country together, because it's tearing apart, bringing all these people that don't appreciate America, that hates America, and want to destroy America into our country and into our nation. God bless America, because we've been blessed. And if America goes down, we don't have a world anymore to look through to see the marvelous light. Because these people are not fit to be leadership. Their behavior, everything, they conduct, everything just tells you who they are. Wicked. There shouldn't even be rallies in the street. No, there shouldn't even be protesters. That's unnecessary. Why don't you get up and talk about what policies you had in place for the people instead of making them have out there making noise and disturbing everybody else's peace? Why you ain't sitting out there rallying about what you gonna do for the people? But instead, they want to keep bringing drama. But everything they wish on President Trump is all going to fall back on them. Be careful what you wish for, because you're going to get it yourself. They say you dig one hole, you better dig two. When you're trying to harm the life of an innocent person just to suit whatever you want to do in leadership that you want to control. President Obama, he had 2 terms, back to back. Nobody interrupted it. Nobody came out and rallied and said he didn't deserve another chance. Nobody made noise. Nobody went on no unrest, protests, burning flags, or doing anything of a kind. And he done the worst to the United States of America people. He put a policy in place that did not supposed to be encouraged to the American people. He got in 2 terms. He won your trust. And guess what? He threw some policy for LGBTQ and tried to change the institution of marriage from what God said. And nobody went out there trying to stop him. So you wrong on all sides of your politics. And that, by him pushing that law, look what it's done to your children. A policy against God, to be rebellious against the God of the Bible. Nobody was out there protesting. Nobody was making noise that he needed to be impeached. He needed to be stripped of his presidency. Nobody did that. Nobody did it when Biden was president. And he did a lot of wicked, crazy things too. Knowing his mind wasn't in the right place to carry this country for the full term, but they still allowed Obama and Pulaski and Schumer or whoever to run this country during his illness. Because if you see how Kamala speak, you know she couldn't run this country, and she couldn't have been one putting out all of this. They even try to prejudice the mind of people by pushing a Project 2025 with Trump's enemies in it and the way they felt about Trump. So they wanted to prejudice the people's mind and cause the people to hate Trump and not vote for Trump by pushing Project 2025. I didn't read the garbage, because I know the man before he became president. So I didn't need to read the garbage Project 2025. Okay? I look at him by the way he was the man for the right job, and the things that I remembered of him from during his time being a businessman, the mogul businessman in real estate in New York. Okay? And how he done a lot to help people advance that wanted a chance, and he gave them a chance. I don't listen to none of these stupid black platforms that get up there, especially from Jamal Bryant, which President Trump know from Apprentice. When Jamal Bryant came on there talking about he was Omarosa's, he was supposed to be some what you call it for Omarosa. Remember Omarosa was on the Apprentice, the television network show that Trump used to have programmed. Maybe y'all need to go look at that. Jamal Bryant was there, and guess what he was there for? To get a bag. Okay? But he could sit up on his platform, his podium, his pulpit, and say all the horrible things about President Trump. And let me tell you something. I don't know. He got a bag. He sat there. He was there supposed to be some spiritual leader guidance for Omarosa. But he got a freaking bag. Because he wasn't on there unless he was getting a bag, okay? And guess who he got the bag from? Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. I knew Donald Trump, but I don't know the rest of these people, okay? I've been knowing Donald Trump from the time I started my career in banking. I know Donald Trump because a lot of my young, the bankers that were there with me, and we were young, that was all in the real estate market because they wanted to buy homes, they wanted to buy real estate, whatever. They first homes and this, that, and the other. They used to watch his work. They used to always talk about his work. Okay? And at that time, he was married to Ivanka. We know his children. They grew up with us they didn't grow up with us, but we know his children. We know Ivanka, we know Donald J. Trump Jr., and we got the Barron and even some of his grandchildren. The one we mostly know is Kai. Okay? All these other people, I don't know them. They could tell me anything, but I know Donald Trump. Point blank, period. And he's a good person, and he does help a lot of people. Whether you black, white, whatever, but he ain't going to be played the fool either. That's how businessmen roll. Business is business. This ain't nothing personal. It's business. And that's just the way it is. They hate him because they couldn't keep up on their business deal, but he kept up on his. Because Donald Trump is a fair player. He's a Christian man. He was raised by Christian faith. He was raised in the faith. He'll tell you in a minute, his dad used to listen to Billy, just like my mother. It was Billy Graham. Billy Graham was, the evangelist Billy Graham was somebody that Trump family followed in his ministry. He was always a Christian. This ain't no play games that he playing Christian because he's the president and he just want to do win your heart over to Christ. Like, when you as elect him because he's a religious. He's not religious. He's a Christian. That's it. You don't understand what a Christian is to being religious. He has a relationship with Christ. He knows Christ. Personal relationship with Christ. Because if he didn't know him, he wouldn't have made it to be Donald Trump. Of these years that God has given him, for the kind of people he had to come across in his life, he has a relationship. There's a difference to having religion than a relationship. Ilhan Omar is religious. That's religious. They do a lot of wicked things, evil things, but they don't have a relationship with Christ to see the wrong that they do to others. That's religion. You get to come in and use religion to harm other people. But she doesn't have any faith. She's only following a cult. Something that somebody wrote and put in her head to this is how you got to do things. No. Without making the right conscious decision on her own. She's following a cult leader. A cult. Somebody else is controlling her mind and her thoughts, because when you have a relationship with Christ, you will know how to deal with people as an individual and not as a whole. You wouldn't be judging nobody because of their character, their color, their skin, or their political party that they are affiliated with, or because of the career they chose. You judge them by what you know in their character. And you try to make sure you examine yourself well along with it. That's the difference. I don't jump on the line with everybody. I deal with everybody as an individual, not as a whole. And I don't always go with color. I go with the cross, what Jesus said, and how Jesus taught us to live. That's what I like about President Trump. That's what I like about his administration, and he's been on the job. He said he was going to do the mass deportation, and he's doing it. He said he was going to do things to try to fix this economy, and he's been trying. He's been doing it. He's been telling us. But some of us are just not listening. Stop feeding your own struggle. Watch where your dollars are spent. Anybody that doesn't putting back into the American economy, you shouldn't spend your American dollars there. That's all I'm saying. This is the way you drive down the rate. This is how you drive down what they trying to sell to you and not putting back to you, and they draining you. You stop putting your money in places that don't support the American economy. Point blank, period. If they're going to try to drain your pockets, you know what? You're going to drain the swamp. Get them out. Run them out of business. Don't spend your money in their businesses if it ain't going to be spent American. Okay? They can't run their business here if they're not going to treat the American people right. And it's just the way it is. And you, as an American, you should be able to know how to spend your dollars. Because everything's supposed to get around for everybody. They can't keep it to themselves. They got to let that money go out to the American people. They should be hiring Americans on the job. They should have Americans working in the job. If they don't see an American there, then you don't work there. You don't spend your money there. I don't care if they got whatever store they got. If they only see their own kind in there, then you don't spend your money in there. There got to be Americans in there. American employees. It is what it is. They've been playing on American people because a lot of people don't read their Bibles. A lot of people ain't Christians. A lot of people ain't paying attention. They too busy looking at who personality is nice to them and who personality isn't. But it ain't about nobody's personality. Because those who try to come in nice and charming to you could be the devil playing right up in your face. And that's exactly what Obama did. He played in your face. We did no research. President Trump was calling him out from day one that he wasn't an American and he wasn't going to be right for the American people. Point blank, period. But he had to actually go into running for presidency, switch from being a Democrat just to come for Obama. Because the gang was getting that dirty. That they was going to actually put somebody that was not an American in the place to run as the United States president. Obama was born in, I believe, Hawaii. He grew up in Indonesia, in Jakarta, Indonesia. Do your research. He has now no roots. Only roots he got in America. He had a Kenyan father and some Hawaiian mother. Even though Hawaii is part of the U.S., but only on the islander side. Okay? And his culture and everything was influenced through international. Not American. Not a black American culture. Not a part of what we've been through as in our struggle. He came from a multicultural, biracial background. He didn't come with a full-blood American spirit. He didn't come with the spirit of America. He came with the spirit for foreigners, LGBTQ, liberals, and also for people with Muslim culture and faith. His father was a Kenyan, probably a Muslim. The name should tell you right there. Obama, Barack Obama, that's not an American name. That's a red flag right there. That's a Muslim, cultural, African, or whatever Arab name. It's not even American. Nothing about his lifestyle is American. Only thing American is his wife and his children. That's it. That was the anchors that's what got him in. Because Michelle is the real American, not him. And his interest was never to do anything to help Black America. His interest was to only take care of the foreigners, international people. Because that's where most of his influence came from. Yes, he went to school here in Columbia, whatever universities he went and got his law degrees and everything, and had government jobs in America, whatever, in Chicago. But look what he did to the brothers in Chicago. Locked them up and throw the key away. Trump went to school in America. He grew up in America. His father's business was built here in America, not in Germany, not where his family probably migrated from, or his whatever. And all him and his sisters and brothers grew up here. I don't know nothing about no Germany. Okay? He didn't grow up there. His father did. His father came here when he was a young man and started out with nothing. But he made something. He built his life here in America. That's the difference. And so did a whole lot of other presidents that was from our history, that came from European culture, that came to America when America, before it became America, of course, we was ruled by Europe. We was ruled by London or England or whatever, the British. And we broke away. That was when we broke away. 1776 is when we got our independence from them. Okay? That was when America became America. It wasn't America till 1776. Do your history. And the presidents who ran presidency all came from some European culture from back in Europe. And where Trump come from, that's European culture. And then people gonna get on here and talk about Lady Melania. I like Melania. I think she's a beautiful wife. I think she's a beautiful mother. And I think she's a beautiful woman all in her role. Okay? She doesn't come out and get into all the political stuff. She's standing with her husband in his work as presidency. She stands there. She helps him. She builds him up. She encourages him or whatever. She don't have to owe us. She don't owe us nothing but making sure her husband is good. Okay? That's her work behind the scene. So y'all come in with y'all attacks on her. She didn't come here illegally. So you can't compare her. And she has never been disrespectful to the American people. So don't compare her to Ilhan Omar. Bunch of idiots. This is how stupid the Democrat people are. This is how ignorant they are. They can't even go that deep. Ilhan Omar been a pig. She's been disrespectful. She's been ungrateful. And she doesn't deserve to be an American any longer. She needs to be stripped out of Congress. And she needs to be deported. Probably go to jail first. We ain't gonna give her no freedom. Just lock her behind up. Okay? Just lock her up. Make an example out of her. But she's been very disrespectful to the American people here. Melania didn't come here and take nothing from us. She did not rob us from anything. So y'all need to stop calling her an immigrant, and she needs to be deported too. No, she don't. She didn't come here being disrespectful to the American people or to the culture. She assimilated, and she comes and she works right behind her husband and making sure he stays strong and being encouraged in prayer and everything else while he's serving his job as our president. And she's done a fine job raising them a son. So leave her alone. And with that being said, let me get myself together to go handle my business for the day. But I may come back with you all later on in the evening. But until then, you all be blessed, be safe, and